So
Mayor,
that's it.
Mayor, you have a lot of families, Mayor, who are saying not enough is being done to hold the officers accountable. What do you say to those families? I know you only have jurisdiction over the city's police department, but a lot of families are calling for all officers involved to be fined.
Sure. Again, two things I will tell you. One, until this hallway video is released, and again, I want to say while you're all here, this many of you, the way you released that video, that was wrong to blindside those families that way.
So how come you called Beto O'Rourke the son of a
Because, sir, that wasn't the proper place to have that
like what he
deal.
was saying.
Sir, I don't care if he has the deputy deal.
Mayor, is Lieutenant Vargas's leave paid or unpaid, and have you received any explanation as to why he didn't take command at the scene?
I do not have an answer
Mayor,
there.
but is the leave paid or unpaid?
Sir,
Did you ask any of your police officers?
I haven't
why
talked to
they-
any of my police officers because I've been directed not to talk to them.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Nothing from anybody in
Only
any
one
department
I've-
is giving you any answers on that?
In the newspaper, it says that you called the newspaper people chicken. But when one of the audience told you, or the persons over there told you about the police, you changed the subject right away.
Sir,
And Ray said that that Congressman, he said they were not chickens.
sir,
Hell, they weren't. They were cowards, not chickens. Cowards.
okay.
Or jackrabbits, because they were running the other way. They were running
Sure.
away from the buildings.
And we're going to be taking steps to look at that now.
And I'm a grandfather, great grandfather of one of the children.
I understand, sir.
How come they're giving a raise to the superintendent?
Sir, I don't have anything to do with the school
Before
district.
that, instead of putting locks in the buildings.
I don't have anything
And
to do
they're
with
not
the school
taking
district.
responsibility.
Why don't you have nothing to do with it? You're the mayor. Speak up.
The mayor
I don't
speak
speak
up.
for, sir, you know as well as I do. The school district elects a school board, and that's who rules the independent school district. You know it and I know it.
Principals and teachers, but they know where they.
Well, you're going to have to ask the school district that. I can't answer for them.
We're gonna,
Okay? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
There were a lot of families in the audience today that were visibly upset at the fact that the report is only in English and you have a...
Well, we will get it. We will get it put in. I mean, I didn't write that report.
But is there anything you can do?
Yeah, we've already asked them. They said they would get one written in Spanish.
But in 2 weeks?
Well, we'll see if we can speed that up. I'll ask.
Mayor, does the report give you any satisfaction now that it's out? Do you still think that there's a cover-up?
Do I still think there's a cover-up? Well, let me put it this way. This has been the worst professionally run investigation that I mean, I've never seen anything of this magnitude, but y'all have. Do you think this has been conducted in a professional manner?
So should charges be filed then? There's been a lot of
I
conversation
mean,
about charges.
look, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not going to be the one to make that decision. That'll be the district attorney or whatever. They'll review the files and do that. But this investigation has been little bitty leaks here and there, little bitty snippets here and there, and we've spent our time trying to do it. Just like when they said the officer had a chance to shoot the shooter. That was not true. And Alert finally admitted that. It was not true. But that's the kind of stuff that has gone on constantly. And the only people that are being blindsided by that is these families. These families, they have been blindsided since day one because they have gotten no information, and just like that video, dumped on them while they were out of town to go to Washington, and that video was dumped on them, and nobody even had the decency to edit the shooter out and the gunshots. That was wrong.
Do you think the officers are getting a raw deal?
No, I didn't say the officers are getting a raw deal. I didn't say that at all. I said every agency there has to be accountable for themselves, and we are doing an internal investigation, and we will look at every officer's actions that day, period. I'm not saying, I didn't say anybody got a raw deal.
Mayor, can you speak to the claims that Uvalde law enforcement tried to manipulate the narrative and ask people?
Yeah, I can answer that to you same way I can. So let me ask you this. Why don't you go see Colonel McGraw and you ask him face to face? Why don't you go see the chief of staff for the governor and you ask him face to face, and then ask Colonel McGraw, the other DPS officers there with him? No, man, what the meeting was about. The meeting was about Colonel McGraw. We're tired of the bullshit leaks. We're tired of boys, and we're tired that you said no law enforcement officers are cooperating. That was their statement. The city of Uvalde and the school district police office has not cooperated since day one, and that is a lie. We have given 100% anything they have asked for. And so we requested that meeting with the DPS and the governor. And I even talked about it at the June 21st council meeting. So if I was trying to manipulate this, why did we wait 40-something days to come out and say, I tried to manipulate that meeting? What we told them was, if they were going to take the stand that we weren't cooperating in that, then we would release what we knew about what happened that day. And we didn't ask them to change the narrative. We didn't ask them to support a narrative or anything. And that's what went down that day. And any one of those people want to sit here or go into a meeting with them, I'll be happy to, because we did not try to manipulate anything. And that's the fact. The governor's chief of staff, the governor's counsel, Colonel McGraw, and he had 3 DPS officers that I do not remember their names. Christina Busby was there. County Judge William Mitchell was there. County Attorney John Dotson was there. City Attorney Paul Tarski was there. And Assistant City Manager Joe Cardenas was there.
So all of you guys were there and you chose not to release information?
No, we were told by the district attorney at that time that we weren't going to release anything, and she would come out and make a statement that all law enforcement agencies had been cooperating. And so at that point, we were told, that's the famous day that we were told we would be prosecuted and she would see gag orders if anything was released.
Did Chief Rodriguez agree with your decision to put the acting chief on administrative leave?
It wasn't my decision. It was basically the city managers and the chief's decision.
Sir, how long is your internal investigation going to take?
As long as it takes to get all the answers and know the facts.
And for the families, and I understand it's a process, it takes time, for the families who are just not satisfied with this, I mean, what do you say to these families?
Well, I mean, I talked to a bunch of them today, and I told them, I understand their concerns. I hear we heard them, and those concerns I will take back to city council and to the city manager and the police chief.
Mayor, what do you want to say to those family members who were kicked out of the meeting? Their parents who lost their babies too?
Look, I don't know what that situation is there. I don't know what the deal, as the mother kept screaming at me across, or the grandmother, biological parent. Look, I met with some of the family members. They have a group that they all get with. I worked with the junior college to invite the legislative committee down to share this with the family. So I don't know what that man's relationship is with his daughter. I don't know I don't know what it was.
There's 3 dads who were not allowed into this meeting, so why?
Well, you're asking me something that you need to be talking to them and to the rest of the family. I have no control over that.
So who's inviting these families to these events?
The families made the list of who was coming to that deal.
So the families get to pick and choose who gets information?
It was immediate family that were allowed there. Again, you're asking me something that I can't tell you on the parents.
They're telling me they're pointing fingers at you, so that's why I'm
Well,
asking.
I mean, point the fingers at me. But how? So, is your biological daughter here? Are you going to let her in that meeting? That's what you want me to tell the stand at the door and ask these parents? I'm not going to do that.
Hey, Mayor, the governor shortly after the second press conference said that he was deceived. It wasn't abundantly clear from the report how he was deceived. Is it any clear to you what the
Look, there's no question. There's no question. The DPS narrative has changed at least 4 times, maybe 5 in this deal. Where he said that day he was livid over what he was told that first day, or that day that he went out there and talked on the stage. That's what he said he was livid about. I haven't talked to the governor in 4 weeks.
Is it your sense that you both got that information from the DPS?
There's no question. I was in that meeting. And then the next day, the same man that gave that information to the governor was making a press conference the next day, contradicting everything he said the day before. And you know when we found about it? On the damn news. They didn't even have the decency to come tell us.
Many in the community say that they don't have trust, not just in law enforcement, but in elected leaders, because they've been faced with
Look,
so much contradictory information.
Look,
How do you repair trust in your community?
Well, I mean, this is something we'll have to do. But I have told my citizens at the council meeting, in any given time, if they don't think I'm fighting for them and won't go to bat for them, they can have my resignation. Not a problem. I get $50 for this job. $50 a month. I did it because I love this community. So if these families and this community feels like I'm not doing the job, I'll be happy to step aside and give somebody else the keys. You think I enjoy this every day? You think I enjoy having to look at 19 families every day or talk to them and tell them? Because my heart's broken for them. But I'll never feel the pain that they're feeling. So, you know, if people don't have the trust in me or don't care, then fine. Let me know. I'll be happy to step aside. And you can elect who you want.
Mayor, is the mayor being paid while on leave?
Do what? I don't know what to do. I just know he was suspended. I don't know if he's getting paid or not.
What about the other officers, Mayor?
Mayor,
We will be doing that. That's where, as soon as we can do the internal review, and like I said, once we get those results, the actions will be taken, need to be taken.
No, but like, are they still on the streets actively in Uvalde?
Some of those officers are still on the streets actively.
Others, what? What's going on with them? Are they?
Well, as far as I know, I mean, some are gone on vacation. I think we've had 2 quit. I don't know all the numbers at this time.
Have you had any, I'll just ask, any suicides?
No, but it's a big concern of ours, a real big concern of ours. I mean, the one thing that look, there's no question there was a failure of command that day, inside and outside that school district. No question. But one thing that every officer that was in that hallway has to live with, what happened in that room. That doesn't help the families, but it's something they have to live with.
Mayor, at this last city council meeting, you said parents can go to this next school board meeting happening tomorrow night and voice their concerns and ask school about the systems in place to make sure this doesn't happen again, because kids go back to school in less than a month. Is that still your same message?
Still my same message, and they asked us to go to that council meeting, and I'll be there tomorrow night at that school board meeting.
Mayor, forgive me if this has already been asked. We were outside with one of the families earlier. At the very bottom of this report, it says that the alert report that came out a few weeks ago basically was wrong.
Well, I'll go back to the same thing. You know how the alert report was written? A 1-hour conference with the DPS is what I was told. With the DPS investigator in a 1-hour conversation, and then they had that report. That's what I'm going to say. This has been an unprofessional, the way this thing has been handled since day one.
So for these families who, as you very well know, have been given information that is contradicted, it goes back and forth, to hear that a report that was put out a couple weeks ago is now being called incorrect by another report, what are they to believe?
Well, what are any of us to believe? I mean, this report that you got today, it's not all the answers, but it's going to be the most truthful they've gotten to this point, in my opinion. I read it. It's the most truthful that they're going to see up until this point, and I don't think they're through. And then the next report is going to be the Justice Department's. That's what, they're going to go through every agency through with a fine-tooth microphone, or fine-tooth comb, excuse me, and go through every agency too, and we'll get that report. But that report may take 6 to 9 months.
Going back, do you know how many officers have quit the force?
There's a couple, maybe 3, I'm not sure. I couldn't answer that exactly.
Mayor, how will the internal investigation differ from today's report? What will the focus be?
On our internal investigation, we will want to know we will first go through their statements that they gave DPS and the Rangers that day. Then we will visit with every officer, and we will go analyze every aspect of their statement and go over everything to know what they did that day and what their actions were. Well, I don't control the school district police. It'll just be ours.
2 more questions, guys. 2 more.
Mayor,
Anybody else?
Mayor, I know that today families met on the other side to talk about the funds. What's going to happen with these funds? Are families going to be able to get some of this money soon? How will it work?
I'm not in charge. I'm not in charge of the fund. You would have to direct it. I think Tuesday night there's a open forum for the community about that fund. And I know they met with them today from 12:30 to 1:30, and then they're meeting with another group from 4:30 to 5:30. So but I don't have anything on the fund.
Last question, guys. Anybody else?
Okay.
Not, thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you much.